Hi everyone, I'm going to explain about the topic called group decision making in the series of personal and group dynamics. This is the last video of the series. This is completely about how a group can make decisions effectively. The performance of a group involves taking into account the needs and opinions of every group member. It is important to consider the decision of each and every member of the group. It is important for the effective functioning of the group to be able to come to an equitable decision as efficiently as possible. There are variety of ways to make decisions as a group. The seven-step decision-making model presented below offers an effective structure for choosing an appropriate course of action for a particular task or a project. The task can be anything or the project can be anything, but it is important to choose an appropriate course of action for offering an effective structure. It can also be an effective method for dealing with the problem or interpersonal conflicting that arises within the group. So we are going to learn about the seven-step decision-making model. The first step in this model is identifying the decision to be made. So it is important to identify what is the decision to be made in the process. Before beginning to gather information and list alternatives, it is vital as a group to clearly understand what you are trying to decide. So you have a goal on which to focus of your discussions. It is important to consider the following questions before making or before identifying the decision to be made. The first one is, what are the particulars of the assigned task? What are we being asked to do? What conflicts affecting our group effectiveness, and what barrier to effective group work we are facing? So these are the questions. The next step in this model is analyzing the issue under discussion. Once you have identified your goal, that is the decision to be made or the problem to be overcome, it is important to examine the data, the resources that you already have, and identify what additional information you may need. The questions to be considered here are: what is causing the problem? From who is this a problem? What is wrong with the current situation? Why do we need to deal with this? Where else we can find resources? Though these things has to be prominently focused to analyze the issue under discussion. Then establishing criteria. Identify the criteria or conditions that would determine whether a chosen solution is successful. So ideally, a solution will be feasible, move the group forward, and meet the needs of every group members. For example, circumstances may be such that some issues may not be completely resolved. So in this situation, it is important to consider the following questions like: what would make a solution successful? What issues need to be dealt? What criteria will help us to determine whether everyone will be happy with the decision? Are some criteria more necessary than others? Then the next thing is brainstorm potential solutions. Brainstorm potential solutions using the resources and information collective above. Brainstorm for potential solutions to the problem or decision identified in the first step. This involves collecting as many ideas as possible at this stage. Ideas should not be criticized or evaluated. So it is important to consider what are some possible solutions that would meet the most of our esteemed criteria. Are there any options that we may have overlooked? What could we do in the absence of those constraints? Then the next step is evaluate options and select the best one. It is important to evaluate the various options. Once you have a list of potential solutions, now you are ready to evaluate them for the best alternative according to the criteria identified. Remember that you may be able to combine the ideas to create a solution. Ideally, everyone would agree with the solution, but it is possible that not everyone will. In this case, you will need to use a different decision making method. Consider the questions by like what are the pros and cons of each option, which option is most realistic, which option is feasible, which option is most likely to solve the problem easily in long, not taking too much of time. So these are the things to be considered by uh, analyzing the options to select the best one. Then implementing the solution. This involves identifying the resources necessary to implement the decision as well as the potential obstacles. The last seventh step in this group decision making model is monitoring and evaluating the outcome. Based on the criteria identified, it is important to monitor and evaluate the outcome. Thank you.